Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get started with chapter 1 in the textbook. Are you sure you really want to teach? I don't know if anybody's ever asked themselves that question. I can only speak for myself, but I have asked myself that question many times. What in the world did you do getting into this occupation? And so we're going to take a look at just what it is to become a teacher. For many people, it is a second career. Some people will work 10, 20 years in one career, be done when they're in their mid-40s or something like that, and then look at teaching as a new option for them. Right now, with the major shortage of teachers that we have around the United States, many professionals are looking at this as a career, and school boards, technical colleges, universities are picking these people up left and right. But teaching can be a very productive second career for people. Obviously, since we deal with students, it is a people-oriented field. There are some people who rather be kind of working by themselves, away from everybody, from the hustle and bustle of human contacts. This isn't the case in teaching. You and I are with students, are dealing with students from the beginning of the day until the end of the day, and then sometimes way beyond that time. For those of you that are coaches, y'all have my admiration and respect, because y'all almost have like a full-time job all year long, dealing with students on campus, off campus, and it's just, we deal with people, and people sometimes are difficult to deal with. But nevertheless, don't get into teaching if you don't want to be around people. Bad career choice. Injury. Maybe you had a career and you were injured on the job. Couldn't do your job like you used to. But yet, teaching is fairly low on the level of physical ability. Your working conditions are fairly good. You're inside most of the time. You're not lifting on any kind of heavy machinery or loads. You're really not in a very dangerous, by that I mean a situation where you could get hurt with the machinery or working conditions that you're in. Obviously, we see on the news where young people come in with knives and guns and all kinds of other weapons and start shooting up the place and hurting people, and that, let's face it, the times we live in, that can happen anytime, any place, anywhere. But obviously, teaching is sort of a very good occupation, in that you're in a fairly safe environment, at least as safe as we can possibly make it. And if you were injured on the job, you really don't have that kind of physical stress on you that you might have had in your working career. And that kind of leads into the next thing, a working environment. Obviously, teaching can be very stressful. Let's face it, we are with our students, like I said, all day. We have all kinds of student responsibilities, but we also have all kinds of administrative responsibilities and things that have to get done at a certain time, certain place. Those of you in the secondary level have your high stakes testing, which has a lot of pressure that is put on you. And so we work in a fairly stressful environment. And even though hopefully we're fairly clean, fairly safe environment, it still has its issues. And finally, it's a profession. We wouldn't want to. Some people say that it's a calling, a career. Well, you know, we can kind of debate that, but all in all, it's a profession. It's a profession that goes back a long, long ways. For thousands of years, people have been teaching other people. And you and I are just a group that is in the process now of keeping up that profession that our ancestors and did for a long, 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 long time. I feel one of the most difficult things that a person can do is to teach somebody else. There are a whole lot of things that have to come together before teaching and learning take place. But when it does, it's just like magic, where your students are learning and you're at the top of your game. Hate to say it, but you know, I haven't had very many of those days. But the days that I have had that it's been like that, I just very, very thankful for them. It is really wonderful to have that kind of interaction with your students. You and I can become teachers a number of ways. Normally, a teacher has to go through a 4-year degree program for elementary, secondary, junior high, post-secondary, technical college. Those might change, but mostly if you're going to be teaching in a secondary level or a elementary level, you need a 4-year degree. There are some 3-year degree programs that are out there because of the shortage of teachers, and so those work also. The ones that I'm more familiar with, and of course I'm kind of playing a small part in right now, are the 2-year degree programs, the associate degree programs. Many of our technical college teachers teach with only an associate degree. Those things may be changing the more we merge our technical colleges and community colleges together, but those things haven't happened yet, so we'll see what happens. But 2-year degree programs are enough for some instructors. Certificate programs, where you earn a certificate in a certain field. When I first began teaching in the technical college system, I was issued a teaching certificate for drafting. When they needed a drafting instructor at Acadian campus many years ago, they looked at my degree, my credentials, and saw that I had the courses and the experience that I needed to teach drafting at a trade school. Well, they issued me a certificate, which was kind of like my teaching license, like my secondary teaching license, that this certificate was good for life, that I could teach drafting at a trade school. Of course, those things at times have changed, but nevertheless, that's my example of a certificate. An apprenticeship preparation. There are a lot of training programs, especially in the trades, which allow someone to spend 1.5 to maybe 2 years in an apprenticeship program developing the skills and the knowledge that it takes in an occupation. to be able to teach and also produce in that occupation. And so these apprenticeship programs are excellent. They really cover, the whole breadth of a occupation. You're just immersed in it for a number of years, and of course, the longer you stay in it, the higher level of skill you get. You move from a apprentice to a journeyman type of certification, and then all the way up to a master's level after years and years of work experience. And finally, informal education. Not all that you and I do in a quote-unquote formal educational setting will help to prepare us to teach. As one of my mentors a long time ago said, sometimes just being a mama or a dad is great experience, because let's face it, if you can deal with your own kids, chances are you can kind of deal with others too. You just have to kind of learn how people work and be able to talk to them and interact with them. And so that's great on the job experience. And also just dealing with people on a daily basis, on the job, at church, with your neighbors, in athletic groups. And so there's a whole lot of ways that you and I can get prepared for this occupation. Now, what do we have to do to become a teacher? Well, one of the big issues right now is credential requirements. A lot of controversy, a lot of issues concerning that, and it varies from educational organization to organization. I remember when I taught at one of the high schools in Baton Rouge, we hired people that had college degrees to teach courses there that had no teaching experience, but yet they had a credential, and they sort of learned on the job how to teach. And let's face it, with a shortage, you kind of bend the rules sometimes. And there was a time that I can remember where, you had to have a 4-year educational degree, or they wouldn't even talk to you. So it kind of goes in a cycle. But nevertheless, your credentialing requirements, you got to know them. And obviously, they're different at every level of education, and so it's just a matter of us asking the right questions to see if we meet those requirements, or else what we have to do to get them. And then just looking at prospective employers. Obviously, every one of our local parishes will have a school system, and so they are many times the largest employer in that particular parish. We have a number of community colleges, technical colleges, and of course 4-year institutions across the state. Those have opportunities for teachers. So those are just here in Louisiana. Obviously, if you wish to go out of state, the opportunities become more and more prevalent. But obviously, in this day and age, there are some issues with employers, because let's face it, right now, a lot of school systems are in some major financial binds. States are laying off teachers right now. A couple of parishes right next door to me are laying off teachers in one parish, and those teachers are then moving to other parishes. And right now, as I'm doing this video, these parishes are interviewing prospective replacements for teachers who have retired, moved on for whatever reason, or they're no longer. And there are many times 10, 15, 20 applicants for every teaching position. And so, short term, it may be difficult to find a teaching job as our economy affects us in a negative way. But just like anything else, it's kind of goes in a cycle. Maybe 10 years, 20 years from now, whenever you're going to be well into your career, you may be able to almost demand where you want to work, because they're going to need your skills and your abilities. So it just depends upon the economic environment that we're in right now, of what our prospective employers are going to be out there. How to get a teaching job? Well, obviously sometimes we're going to have to just kind of beat the bushes to see what's out there. First and foremost, usually there are position announcements that are either online and at the parish school system's website or school's website, and you can kind of take a look at them to see what's out there. Many times Sunday newspaper will have these positions listed there. So there's a number of ways that you can find out. Then usually fill out an application, put your resume there, and then maybe you're given an interview. You will be asked many times to go and be interviewed, maybe by a supervisor there or else by a committee. I've had it done both ways, where I just talked to one person. I was talking to 5 people, 7 people. There was a job that I had looked at Texas at a community college in Baytown. I must have been interviewed by well over 50, 60 people throughout the day. So it just depends on what that organization wants to do. But there must be a catch somewhere. Is it that hard to get a teaching job? Or is it that easy to get a teaching job? There's got to be a catch somewhere in there. And let's face it, talking real life situations, sometimes not always the most qualified person gets the job. Politics plays a role in every hire to a degree. In higher education, normally there are kind of checks and balances there, where people from outside, maybe that department, will be part of the interview committee, and then there might be 2 or 3 interviews by 2 or 3 different groups. It could be kind of a long, drawn-out process, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it doesn't happen. I've seen it happen too many times in my career. So just be prepared. All you can do is sell yourself, and just do the best you can in that interview and be yourself. And no matter what happens, at least you can, at the end of the day, look yourself in the mirror and say, I did the best that I could. But then, let's say you get the job, and then you got to get ready. Like I mentioned, that there are some parishes right now that are interviewing for prospective teachers for the fall 2012-2013 academic year. My hat's off to them. Getting these people on board right now so that they have the summer to prepare. That is ideal. Unfortunately, the opposite is more true. Normally you're hired, you get your keys in your hand, and the principal or administrator will just open up your door and say, there's your classroom, get after it. And to me, that is the worst thing that we can do as a profession to new teachers. But it happens over and over and over again. It's happened at my school. Chances are it's happened at yours too. But you have to be prepared and ready, because those students are coming. Right now, as I give this presentation, tomorrow is our first day of class. Even in the best of circumstances, it's a chaotic and wild and crazy day for those of you that have taught before. So the more you can do to prepare, the better off those first few days are going to be for you. And it's very important that we try to give you some success that first year and those first few weeks. So that ends this little PowerPoint for this chapter, and so I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording right here, and I will be putting together a presentation for chapter 2.